Hello there, my fishy friends. My name is Peter, and today we're going to talk about chum fishing. So let's make a couple of casts, see if we can get it on. And then I'm going to show you some gear and techniques that should work for chum. Let's get into it. First off, I would like to dispel a couple of myths about chum fishing. Number one is a lot of people think that the season is over, that the chum in the river right now are old and dirty and no good for anything except garden fertilizer and dog food. That is just not true. If anything, the later season chum are in better shape than the early season chum. Because in the late season, the fish are traveling up the Fraser and up the Vedder quite quickly, whereas the early season fish tend to really take their time and they stage in the canal for quite a long time. So the chum that you get in October tend to be quite dark and ready to spawn, but the chum that you get in early November tend to be really chrome and in really nice shape. So chum are a lot of fun to catch, but there are a couple of special considerations you should keep in mind. So there are a couple of things that I don't really consider essential for fishing for coho, but for chum, there are two things that I always bring. I bring some pliers because their teeth are nasty and they will cut you up pretty bad as you're trying to release the fish. So you want to handle these fish with a great deal of respect. They are a wild creature, and you are going to catch quite a few that are not suitable for eating, and you're going to want to release them quickly and you know, not stress the fish out too much. So if you can reach in there with pliers, oh, my buddy's got one on right now. I'm gonna have to go help him. So yeah, you need pliers and a clean bag for the roe. The roe from chum is amazing. It's good to eat, so bring a nice food grade bag and some pliers and a net. Let's go catch one. Another chum?
Looks like a nice female. Peter.
That's a nice one. Your bead fell off.
No, I like the bees.
Okay. Nice. So you see, let me just have a quick look. See through the belly here? That belly is almost all white. It's got just a touch of gray in it. This fish has not been in fresh water very long, and it will make good eating and great caviar. Let's have a look at some chum gear. So when the water's dirty, as it has been of late and probably will be for quite some time, big beads are often the best bet. So we're talking like 18, 20, 22 millimeter beads. The pearly pinks and pearly oranges have been working for me, but some people use these mottled ones and they work well too. Chum love big beads for some reason. The classic way to catch a chum is to float a jig. So these are jigs that are designed to be put under a float, and instead of being rabbit fur and fairly heavy, these jigs are marabou and they're fairly light. So they're like 1/8 ounce jigs, and they have lots of feathers, a fair bit of flash, and colors like this are very classic chum colors, purples and pinks, and they work great. And the advantage with floating jigs is that you don't get a lot of foul hooked fish. So chum will also eagerly bite twitching jigs, but when the chum are sitting in thick schools and you try twitching a jig through there, you'll end up with foul hooked fish, and you don't want to be wasting your time with foul hooked fish, and you don't want to be hurting the fish. So yes, twitching jigs work great, but sometimes it's not the right lure of choice. You're just going to spend too much time with foul hooks. Yeah, so The water that we're fishing here is pretty classic chum water too. You're looking for walking speed or slower, and fairly shallow, like 2-3 feet deep. And the chum just sit in there, and chum do a lot of what's called sharking. So they'll come up to the surface and turn around just before the surface, and all you see is the tail fin come up. So, you know, I don't know if you caught that on camera, there was one up there. It was just sharking. So they turn around, you'll see a fin. Coho tend to do more porpoising, so the head and the back of the fish will come out of the water. Chum are sharks, and coho are dolphins, I guess, is what it boils down to. Yeah, so the chum will tell you where they are, and then it's just a matter of catching them. Mikhail has another chum on here. Same presentation, just a big bead and a little bit of roe, but these fish were biting the beads, not the roe. We use 15-pound leader for these fish because they have big teeth that tend to saw through the leader, so you want a thicker leader both to tire the fish out quickly and to make sure you don't lose it. Also, Mikhail and I both like fishing these sort of tight technical spots where it's a bit difficult to land fish, so a strong leader comes in handy. That's a strong fish. He's gonna pull you in.
Looks like.
So Mikhail is actually my apprentice.
No, under the rope.
We are both tile setters. So if you need any flooring or tile setting done in the Fraser Valley, you can get in touch with me on Facebook. My company is Better Floors, and we have a little Facebook page where you can look at some of my past work. It's a bit dated now, I haven't updated it lately, but yeah, just something I thought I'd mention. Chum, I think, are every bit as strong as Chinooks, and if anything, they're a bit more athletic, a bit more squirrely, and I'm actually quite impressed that this fish stayed on with a barbless hook going underneath these various logs. That was not an easy fight. So this is why you want pliers when you're fishing for chum. Those big nasty teeth. So this happens quite often when you have a pegged bead. The fish will end up being hooked just outside on the mouth. Okay, so this is a nice big male chum. You can tell by the big teeth, especially on the bottom jaw. But you can see he's got a black belly, so this fish has already started spawning. And you don't want to be keeping fish like this. The meat will not be awesome. You'll be better off holding out for a fish that has a white belly on it. Makes a big difference. This is the chum that I caught. I actually still had sea lice on it. Nice fresh fish. And I've been meaning to get this chum fishing video up for some time, but I keep getting distracted with coho. So I'm just going to end this video with a few clips of Mikhail and I landing some coho. It was a fun day on the Vetter. This actually might be my biggest coho for the year. It was maybe a 9 or 10 pound wild fish. Really swallowed the jig though. We had a hard time getting that jig out of his mouth to get him released quickly. This next fish somebody cast over my line while I was playing it. That's my fish. It's my fish.
Sprawdźmy.
on your bail. Yeah, there you go. We're good. Yeah, this happens quite a bit on the vetter. People don't pay attention. That's okay. I got the fish in the net. You can tell we don't mess around with the coho. They're into the net as fast as they'll go into the net. And that has a couple of advantages. It doesn't tire out the wild fish, and you have less chance of losing a hatchery fish. So with coho, yeah, I horse them in, get them in the net.
That's a wild.
And the wild fish are released usually in way less than a minute after being hooked. It's way easier on them that way. Well guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
This one's a hatch.